Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harris and I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books. This is going to be my weekly wrap-up for the 5th of July for 2024, obviously. I would like to start this episode with a toast to our outgoing Tory government and to our incoming not far-right government in the UK. I'm extremely pleased to see especially the Green Party make some wins in my hometown and elect a Green MP in Bristol Central. I struggled to decide whether I should talk about this because obviously when you talk about your political leanings, you do sometimes restrict the growth of your YouTube channel, and you scare some people away who might just be here to talk about books. I am politically very left of the spectrum. I do respect some other views, not all, and I'm going to continue to talk about books from that perspective. So while I don't want people to unsubscribe, if you feel that would be not for you, then that button is right there. If you are, seeing things through my sort of lens, then I think that we would be great friends and I'd love to have you as a member of my community. Please do subscribe. If this video loses subscribers, I'll be genuinely curious to see why. So drop down in the comments if you're unsubscribing and let me know. Anyway, let's get back to the books. So today is the weekly wrap-up. In the weekly wrap-up, well, I've always called them weekly recaps, but I watch so many other people who do weekly wrap-ups and now it has infected my brain. Weekly recaps. We talk about the books that I have read, books that I'm going to read next, and then the videos I've made, the videos I'm making next, and all this and beyond. So what have we been reading this week? So I have been reading Surviving Westcliff, which is the first book that, and this is by Thomas Perkins. It's the first book that really grabbed me out of my selection from SPFBO, and so I decided I was going to finish the whole book. I mean, I would have dropped out if it had been rubbish at some point along the way, but it absolutely held up. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I will probably record my video review for that today or Monday, but just giving you a heads up, this book is on Kindle Unlimited. I think it's really good. Maybe it was just because there was lots of fantastic, great, short, sharp chapters, and the mystery was interesting, the setting was interesting. It's a low fantasy, so there's no magic or fantastical elements, but it's set in another world, as it were. The story's basically of a group of people that are kind of thrown together looking for a new start, trying to start a new colony, a new village on an island in the middle of nowhere, and kind of all the horrible things that go wrong and happen to them. I really enjoyed this book, and I will absolutely be keeping an eye on Thomas Perkins for future work. Probably one of the best indie debuts I've read in a while. So after I finished that, and also kind of while I was reading it, because I've been listening to the audiobook, I have been reading / listening to Infinity Gate by M.R. Carey. This is a multiverse sci-fi. One of the things I really like about this one is that it is set, or at least starts, on a world that is very much our own world. So I'll just have a sip of coffee here. Very much our own world. And it is in fact set in Africa, in Lagos. And the 2 lead protagonists so far are a female physicist and a male sex worker. So really enjoying this story, and I feel like it has just started to take a really interesting turn. And I really like the new character that's been introduced, Essien. So I'm obsessed with this right now. This book and Surviving Westcliff have really reignited my reading love. which I think that I have been struggling with since the baby was born, since Alice was born, because I've been so tired. I've not really had time to read as much time to read, and I think that maybe that even contributed to my 4-starring The Will of the Many instead of 5-starring it, which I might have done if I'd read it quicker and it had been kind of more of an event for me. So yeah, Infinity Gate, really loving this book. It's basically, the concept of it is that the world that Hades, the main character, is living in is basically our world, but much further gone in terms of environmental collapse, and she accidentally discovers the multiverse and decides to travel to escape her dying Earth, essentially. And then the first world she goes to, she meets this sex worker called Essian. It's just really good. I'm properly raving about it. The audiobook narrator is fantastic. Her name's Dami something. I'm really sorry, I can't remember her surname, and because the audiobook is on my phone, which I'm recording this with, you know how it works. But yeah, really loving Infinity Gate. I've basically only seen books with Willow talking about this. So if you have not heard of this book, please check it out and read it. I got it from the library, and my library has terrible science fiction selection, so it must be quite easy to get. Next up after this, I will be reading another SPFBO book. I haven't decided whether I'm going to read Soul Stealer yet. That book is like 630 pages or something. So and that one, again, because it's an SPFBO book, I will only finish it and review it if I really like it, like I did with Surviving Westcliff. But I'm going to possibly start that, but I think I've got a couple of others that I want to make a little bit more progress into. So basically the idea with SPFBO is I want to get around a quarter of the way, or at least 50 pages, into all of the books that I've been assigned. And once I've done that, I'll decide which ones I'm going to finish, review, and then forward on to Philip as my finalist. So yeah, next up after that will be another SPFBO fantasy. I think I've given the list of SPFBO books previously. I was going to make a video this week on SPFBO where I did kind of like a mini reading vlog of all of the books, and kind of me reading those early 25% and talking about SPFBO, what it is, why I'm working on it with Philip Chase, all this sort of stuff. But honestly, I did a few reading vlog clips and I just wasn't happy with the video. So when I'm not happy with the video, I'm not going to put it out. It's not that I don't like to talk negatively about books, because I am happy to do that. But when it's these small indie authors, it's very much like, oh, well, this wasn't my cup of tea, but it probably will be somebody else's. It's just hard to... it's not hard to critique them. I think it's harsh, maybe, to critique them. Is that the right term? Anyway, so yeah, there were a couple of books that just really didn't grab me in my selection, and I kind of felt bad talking about them too negatively. So yeah, I just decided to scrap that video. I'm not a toxic positivity YouTuber, but I do like to keep things positive, especially when it comes to indie authors who, you know, they're pouring their hearts and souls into these books. So long way of saying, I'm not going to make that SPFBO video that I promised last week, which is why there was an extra Wandering In chapter this week. But after that next SPFBO book I'm going to be reading, and probably also, by the way, I'll be also reading this in tandem via audiobook, Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. So I bought this for myself with a Amazon voucher I got for my birthday, and I've just been, it's been sitting on the shelf. And a load of people on Andrew Watson's Discord, which is the bookish Discord I'm on the most, are currently reading this, especially my bud Laura from Hardy's Books. She's currently reading it and she's loving it. So I'm feeling like I'm going to give this bad boy a shot, probably straight after I finish Infinity Gate and start, because I usually want one audiobook and one I want to be able to listen to an audiobook and sight read a book, and all the SPFBO books, none of them have audiobooks. So when it comes to those, I tend to also audiobook something else, which is how I've been reading the beginning of Infinity Gate. I'm like a third of the way through Infinity Gate now, and yeah, like I said, loving it so far. While we're on books, I do want to talk very briefly about something I received in the mail, which is the Black Tongue Thief books from the Broken Binding. I'll just show you the first one. So I talked a bit about how I wanted to read the Black Tongue Thief, and then this set came up on Broken Binding and I couldn't resist. So it's such a lovely set, and they've expanded on the cover from the original. So the original cover is like just this bit, and they've added this kind of extra surround on it. The interior artwork is lovely. The original cover stuff is on the side, on the sprayed edge. It's got a ribbon, and as you guys know, I love a ribbon. So yeah, really excited to have these. No idea how I'm going to fit them on the shelf, but I'm looking forward to reading them. And yeah, I'm going to start Black Tongue Thief probably once I have finished SPFBO. So I've already looked at, I've DNF'd one SPFBO book, I've put one book on the bubble, and I have read one fully. So I have 3 more to tackle. So one of those, Soul Stealer, I'm quite enjoying, so I do think I'll end up reading the whole thing of that, unless it somehow shits the bed at some point. And then there's 2 others that I need to fully sample. So yeah, fantastic reading at the moment. Surviving Westcliff was a real uplift. And then combining that with Infinity Gate, which has also been something I've been really loving, has just been, so far, June has been an absolute, June? It's July now. So far, July has been a fantastic reading month. Moving on to video. So on the channel this week, we had 2 Wandering In videos, my June monthly wrap up, and my review of Tales of the Sunny Volume 2. So as predicted, almost nobody watched Tales of the Sunny Volume 2 review, and I believe it is now the worst performing video I've made this year. But I don't imagine short story collections get many views, and also it's like a short story collection that you have to have read 3 books, 2 novellas, and another short story collection to read. So I get it, but thanks so much for everyone who did watch it. I then did my June recap. June recap, not particularly very many views. However, I guess I didn't read all that many exciting books. So maybe that's on me. And then 2 chapters of The Wandering In. The Wandering In is so good right now. And I'm about to finish book 1. So there will be a book 1 of The Wandering In review coming very soon. I don't know when it will be, because it kind of relies on my Monday book review slot to be open, and I would imagine, well, this Monday I'll be reviewing Surviving Westcliff, but I'm already a third of the way through Infinity Gate, so does that mean that I'll have Infinity Gate to review the Monday after? I will probably have already been several chapters into Volume 2 before I do a kind of overarching review of Volume 1, because I only have 1 chapter left. So yeah, The Wandering In's great. If you haven't read it, it is a web serial. It's 100% free to read online. There is an ebook and an audiobook version, but for Volume 1 you do want to read the website version, because it's been rewritten to a new, much higher quality standard. Volume 2 I will be starting, and I'll be reading ebook/audiobook. So yeah, really looking forward to getting into Volume 2 of The Wandering In. I've been looking forward to it for a long time, and yeah, it's upon me now. So at the very least, I will be starting Volume 2 the week after next. So yeah, excited to get a whole new story underway in the Wandering In universe. Well, it's kind of the same story continued, but you get what I mean. For those of you who watch my channel for Wheel of Time content, I understand that I did not do a Wheel of Time book last month, but I am committed to catching up. As soon as I'm done with SPFBO stuff, Actually, I'm not going to be reading The Black Tongue Thief. I'm going to be reading Wheel of Time. So I'm really excited to get back to that book series, and having almost 2 months off will probably re-energize me on it a little. And especially as this is one of the books that people say is like the start of the downward trend into the slog, it'll be nice for me to have had that break, for it to be more exciting to be back in that world. So yeah, don't know if I will read it in July, but I am really going to try. So yeah, Black Tongue Thief's going to have to stay on the shelf. When I'm back to trad published fantasy, I'm done with my indie fantasy reviewing that for the summer, then I will be on Wheel of Time, and I will probably do Wheel of Time, then a sci-fi book, then Wheel of Time again, and that should hopefully allow me to catch up. It'll be a crazy month, but that should help me catch up. Is that everything? Yeah, we've talked about videos, we've talked about what I'm reading next. We haven't talked about videos for next week. So next week is going to be the Surviving Westcliff review. After that, not sure. I'll have to think of something for Tuesday. Wednesday will be the final chapter of The Wandering Inn, Volume 1. Then Thursday, I'm probably going to do the probably going to do the interlude between book 1 and 2 of The Wandering Inn. At some point soon, I need to put up my One Piece video. So I've read a few chapters of One Piece. I want to try and... People have been saying to finish the first arc and then do a video. If I do finish that first arc this week or next week, my manga videos are probably going to be up on Sundays. So if you're interested in manga and you want to see stuff from me, then that'll be Sundays. I am also thinking about doing some American comics videos that will come out on Saturdays. I don't know where best to start with that, because I did do a really good video, I thought, a while ago about comics recommendations for fantasy and sci-fi readers that were kind of standalone, fun fantasy and sci-fi stuff. And some people really loved one of those but didn't love the other. But yeah, we'll see. I think I've been threatening slash promising, pardon me, to do a review on Supergirl World of Tomorrow, which is being made into a movie with Millie Alcock from House of the Dragon as Supergirl. Yeah, I would like to do that. And I've read some of, but not all of that series, so I might go back and reread the whole thing. Now I have the books Go Color 7, I can read comics on my e-reader, which is pretty cool. Although I don't like reading comics on there, I do prefer to read them on the tablet, but whatever. Anyway, this has been a bit of a roundabout way to end this video. And it was probably a weird start for those of you who don't live in the UK, which is the majority of my viewers. I think it's like 70% US. Thank you very much for watching today. I apologise for bombarding with UK politics if you're not UK based. And if you're still watching but are planning to unsubscribe because of my political views, I'm sorry to see you go. But I think that, you know, let's just not go there, actually. Let's not carry on with that sentence. Please like the video if you liked it. And drop a comment down below if you want to talk about any of the books that I have read this week, or if you would like to talk about the books that I'm going to read. And of course, please let me know what you've been reading. I'd love to know what you've been reading, what you've been watching, if you've been playing any games. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It'd be lovely to have you here, and I will speak to you next week.